may be sitting there thinking, like, what kind of ego does it take to bring out all of someone's awards and accomplishments and put them on camera? But you know what's interesting? When I came back to visit Australia, I found these in my cupboard, and I actually forgot that some of these even existed. And not only was I reminded of what it took to achieve these, but I was also reminded of the kind of phase of life I was in when I did, like the operating system I was running. For example, this was the first trophy I ever won outside of a participation medal, and I was so surprised to get it, I actually dropped it when I went on stage and it was given to me. And I can tell you right now that the 13-year-old that won this was so desperate for validation and approval that's what my motivation was. And then, this silver medal here. When I qualified for the national championships for gymnastics, I actually qualified with top scores in Australia for that division. And so I came into this competition very much driven to win the whole thing. And on the first day, I was taking the competition so seriously that I fell on 3 apparatuses and ended the first day in 11th place. And I was absolutely shattered. My ego was bruised, and I felt so defeated. So I went into the second day of competition with just a mindset of, well, you know what? I'm in my nation's capital, I'm representing my state, let's just have a good time. And I subsequently won the second day, which had me land second overall out of the entire competition, the entire field, and landed me on the 2011 Australian team. You know, a childhood dream of mine. And so I can tell you the operating system that was going on at that phase of life was that if it's not first place, then it's not worth it. You know, if you're not winning, then you're losing. Pretty unhealthy, I might say. And lastly, 3rd place in the world, Model America Championships, Las Vegas, Nevada. So when I was up on stage with 32 other of some of the best looking sons of guns in the world, I was shocked to hear my name read out to place 3rd. And I went out and received the award, and I couldn't believe in the moment just that only 5 months earlier I had attempted to take my own life because I didn't feel like I was worthy or had a place in this world. So the operating system that was running when I won this was just a desperate desire to not be in as low a place as I was 5 months earlier. And so many different phases of life, many different operating systems, but the one thing I can tell you that was the same among all of these was that I was using a very common approach to goals, which was an outside-in approach. And what the outside-in approach is I wanted an outcome. So I set up the processes, worked backwards, and then hoped that my identity would change. And through every single accomplishment I've ever achieved, it's always been, what's the outcome? What are the steps to get there? And hopefully, my identity will change. But I noticed over time that just even though I was achieving things, like I didn't feel better as a person. It's like, oh yeah, amazing. I came 3rd in the world for standing in a Speedo and looking pretty. But I didn't feel confident. I still didn't feel confident. I didn't feel like I could walk around in a bar or walk around the street and feel attractive. You know, I achieved all these gymnastics awards and I didn't feel like an athlete. I didn't feel like an elite athlete, even though I was achieving, these awards. And so recently I was reading a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about that, 94% of people don't achieve their goals. And a lot of it's largely related to the process, outcomes, then the steps, then the identity change. And it just doesn't seem to happen. And so for me, I'm looking at it differently of, okay, well, the identity, what if I just assume the identity, the process will follow, and then the outcome will eventually happen. And when I was training for my marathon, I was out on a run and I was really battling. It was kind of like my 40th mile of the week. And I was struggling and I'm thinking, how am I going to run this race? And something kind of snapped in my mind of just like, am I someone who's running, trying to complete a marathon, or am I a runner? And I was like, ooh, that feels good. Am I a runner? Because what do runners do? They run. And what do you need to complete a marathon? Running. And so when people would ask me like, oh, you're doing a lot of running, I wouldn't say, yeah, I'm training for a marathon. I'd say, yeah, I'm a runner. And what do you know? 42 kilometers at 8,000 feet, had the time of my life, loved every second of it. And like when I was modeling, there was a time in Vegas where I was doing photos out in the desert with a guy named Greg Burns. And the photos just weren't landing. And Greg said to me, he goes, this isn't working. He goes, whatever you got going on in your head right now, get rid of it, because you deserve to be here. You've put in the work to be here. So bloody own it. Just own the fact that you are a model. And I went, ooh, I'm a model. Am I someone who models? Or am I a model? And boom, the photos follow, like just the results ended up just coming through. And now you may feel that you aren't capable or worthy of achieving X, Y, Z, whatever your goals may be, and that your belief may not be there just yet. However, you can be rest assured that by following an inside-out approach, by assuming the identity and the character and the values, of someone who achieves what you want to achieve, that the necessary steps will follow and that the desired outcome will occur. Because going from the outside in, this, oh, if I achieve this and do these things, I'll be a better person, or I'll be more loved, or I'll be more worthy. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. And yes, there may be some trophies and medals to represent that approach, but there's a reason why, as a 27-year-old man, some of these things happened over a decade ago, that I can still be struggling like everyone else and not even remember these things, just like I did when I came home. And so it's a good reminder for me going forward of how I want to approach my goals. Of thinking like, well, you know what? If I want to achieve this, it's not what do I need to do to get there, it's who do I need to be? How do I need to identify? What are the values, characteristics, and habits do I need to employ to make that happen? And then quit looking at the goal. Just allow the little things done daily to do the heavy lifting. And so I am not the summation of my achievements. I am not the summation of the accolades and the acknowledgements that I get from other people. Although they are a beautiful reminder of what I'm capable of. Me, I am the summation of the small things I do daily and the identity that I bring forth and assume into my life, which fuels all of it. So if you're going to take anything away from this video, my hope is that it's this. If you want to run a marathon, don't just be someone who trains 5 days a week to run a marathon. Become a runner. If you want to write a screenplay, don't just be someone who writes scripts here and there. Be a screenwriter. And if you want to be a successful business person, don't just be someone who sells products or services on the side as a hobby. Be a passionate entrepreneur. Because when you put on your shoes and button your shirt and look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see someone who just runs and might do a marathon? Do you see someone who just does a bit of writing and might write a screenplay? No. Look in the mirror and see all that you are capable of. I am a runner. I am a model. I am a passionate entrepreneur. I am a screenwriter. And you'll be amazed at just how little motivation you need to do the little things daily that will bring forth the results and the outcomes that you desire. And you can see right here how surprised I was to get it, because I actually dropped it.